1, 2. I said microphone check. 1, 2. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me.
What's up, guys? Good evening. Welcome into another episode of Ace's Wild Chicago Sports Takes right here on the Undefeated Sports Network. As always, I am Andrew Tarbill. To my left is the man, the myth, the guy with the almost best hair in the group, Angelo Ace Camacho.
Almost best.
I'm stepping on my haircut game with these bald fades, so you got to get on board, my guy.
Yeah, I would take my hat off, but I'm not trying to scare any of the women and children that are watching right now. My hair game's a mess.
What's up, man? How you doing?
You know, usually I'm begging for the bye week to get here, right? Like, oh my God, these fucking Bears. If I could just have a weekend break, it'd be nice. And, well, now I was kind of finding myself, like, on Sunday scratching, like fucking wishing that the Bears were on. And I had to settle for watching the Packers play.
Ooh.
I know.
Well, that's because you live in that mansion up there in Wisconsin. That's what happens. They don't play the Bears up
because
there.
Stuck
even
with
that.
that.
But no, man, I'm with you on that for sure. My Caleb Williams jersey came in on Friday of last week, so it was a little unfortunate. Haven't gotten to break that out yet, but I'll be wearing it on Sunday as we watch our Chicago Bears, hopefully, as we watch our Bears beat the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. What is this? Hopefully beat the
going
Commanders.
to happen.
Yeah, what are we doing?
So, obviously, guys, with the bye week, gave a good opportunity for a key number of players to get healthy. Unfortunately, Coach Eberflus did rule out today the return of both Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. They're going to be out for the game on Sunday, so big loss to the defense there in the secondary. We'll have to see how some of these younger guys can respond. I think we have the depth in the secondary that it's not a giant concern. You've still got Jalen Johnson out there, obviously. Tyreek Stevenson was a full participant at practice today, I believe, so expect to see him out there as well. Simone Biles' husband will probably get some play time out there, and a few of these other younger guys will be key pieces of the defense this week as well. But looking forward to Sunday, man. There's a lot to be excited about, Ace. So Caleb Williams, let's take it back for those that don't have the game fresh on their mind. Caleb Williams, 4 touchdowns in the victory against the Jaguars in London. 2 to Cole Kmet and 2 to Keenan Allen, none to DJ Moore, which killed my fantasy, but that's neither here nor there. Caleb Williams, 20 of 26. I believe he was around 262 yards passing and right around 50 yards rushing, just over 50 yards rushing, I should say, on the day. So overall performance over 300 yards again, obviously. Some of the rushing equated to that, but very efficient. 20 passes, 4 touchdowns. Really tremendous outing by the Chicago Bears. I will say I'm getting really tired of the cheap and lazy narrative that the Bears are only playing bad teams and that's why they're winning right now. So I think this Sunday is actually a true test. You look at the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels obviously has been phenomenal. He's up in the air as a game time decision for Sunday. Let's stop there, Ace. Do you think Jaden Daniels plays on Sunday?
I mean, you're sitting in a spot right now where the majority of the bulk of the Commanders games have been very similar to the Bears. You play less than stellar defenses.
Yeah, that's fair.
Guys dealing with a rib injury. You play the Cowboys in the next 3 weeks. I think you play, I forget who else they play, but I know the next couple of weeks are big weeks for him. So
yeah.
Do you risk rushing him out there just so that you can placate the
narrative
people,
of
right?
the number
keep the
one
people
and
happy,
pick.
Right? I mean, that's why they flex this game to
right
the 3 o'clock window instead of the noon window, which really, I mean, that's good for me. It lets me sleep in a little more on Sunday, and then I kind of rush, and
absolutely.
I think if Jaden plays, is he going to be 100%? If not, what's the
No.
point of putting him out there?
Fair enough.
Because it's like remember when Mitch hurt his shoulder and everybody wanted him out there and they were like, oh, well, just put him out there, put him on. Yeah, I know we don't talk about Mitch on here, but whatever. But then they rushed him back out there and he just didn't look the same. You know, he was afraid to run. Remember, he didn't want to run because he didn't want to get hit. And like, I think it'd be similar for Jaden Daniels. Like, that's part of his game is running. And if you get hit, and the Bears have done a good job of laying the wood on some of these guys. And, you know, that hits principle that Flus talks about. It's they've put it into practice. And I think the smart thing, if I was Washington, like if the roles were reversed, right, I would much rather be like, okay, we're going to take our chances with Mariota and let Jaden rest another week just to make sure he's good.
So, fun fact right there, the Bears have never won a game that Marcus Mariota's been the starting quarterback in.
That's real?
That's 100% real.
That's pretty wild, actually.
So, not to say that Marcus Mariota is going to cause problems for this,
but he's going to cause problems.
Bears, but here's the thing I think you can't do. You can't go into the game expecting it to be an easy win because Marcus Mariota is playing quarterback. I think you have to go
I don't know. Let me take a little sip of the Kool-Aid. I think if Marcus Mariota plays, this Bears team wins again 36-something. I think it's another slaughter. The defense of Washington is awful. And I think they just lost one of their best defensive players that they had left.
Well, I'll put it this way, Ace. I think that going in to underestimate Mariota would be a mistake, especially with our depleted secondary. I think you have to go in and treat this just like any other game with the same level of intensity. I think the biggest thing for me is looking at how the team performed before the bye. Everything was rolling on offense. Obviously, we need to build on that. Keenan's had a week and a half to rest up that injury that he's been dealing with. I mean, he's been healthy the last couple weeks, as healthy as a 32-year-old wide receiver can be. But I don't know, man. I feel good about this game. Let me say this. I feel good about this game even if Jaden Daniels is the starter. Like, if Jaden goes out there, that's great. I think the Bears still win by, I'm going to say, at least 10 points.
I think that the narrative, like when these kind of games happen where it's, you know, number one quarterback, number two quarterback, I get it. Like, I get it. Caleb versus Daniels, I understand the concept of it. But realistically, these two players don't play on the opposite sides of the ball.
Well,
right. So it's really Caleb versus Washington's defense and Daniels versus the Bears defense. And if I had to stack that up against each other, I feel better with the Bears defense versus Daniels than Washington's defense versus Caleb. I think Caleb has a bigger game against that defense than Daniels would against the Bears, or Mariota will have against the Bears.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with that. I think that Caleb's shown growth consistently week over week. We've talked about it a lot on the show this year that game after game, his stats have trended up. He's making smart decisions, making less mistakes. So clearly it's important for Caleb to keep going on that upward trajectory. And I think this is a real chance for the Bears to solidify a spot that they need. This is almost another must win. You look at these next three games against Washington, New England, and Arizona. You really need to go 2-3 in this next set of three games to have a chance at being a playoff contender.
So,
you have a very rough stretch coming up.
Yep. I'm going to pull up the stretch after that, just so everybody, we're going to go through every game after that. Okay. Let's see. We have, where is the schedule?
Okay.
All right, here we go. I got it. So we talked about the Cardinals, right? That's the last game on the slate before you play the Packers. Right. And then after that
is Minnesota.
You play Green Bay, and then you play Minnesota. And then you have a little break that's not a divisional opponent. Hold on, I have my
No, you played Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Hold on, I'm looking at it right now. My stupid computer did not load. Yes, where?
So
why is it not showing me the schedule of this game?
Divisional. That's 3 back-to-back divisional games. You play Green Bay, then you play Minnesota, and
Right. So yes, okay, I got it
Detroit
now.
on
Now I
Thanksgiving.
got it. For some reason, the Bears website took me to tickets, and I'm not looking for tickets. All right, so you got Washington, Arizona, New England. All 3 games should be winnable. Kyler Murray, Call of Duty dropped yesterday, so I'm pretty sure he's going to take a little step back. Then you got Green Bay, Minnesota, a Lions team that's
good.
Then you got the 49ers, the Vikings, Detroit,
Lions.
Seattle, and Green Bay. So, realistically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 8 games after New England are really going to put you in a spot where you either make or miss the playoffs. That's it.
Absolutely. Well,
whatever you did before the Green Bay game.
Let's say the 7 games after Arizona, because I think all of the next 3 are very winnable.
Yeah, I agree. I think Washington, Arizona, New England should be winnable. And then you put yourself in a situation where you have 8 wins going into Green Bay or going in against Green Bay, which pray for me on that day, because I'll tell you now, it is not going to be a fun time in my house. I've had a nice, relaxing couple weeks with the Bears handily winning, and the thought of the Packers. Every time I think they're good enough to beat them, they get their ass kicked, and then I'm sitting there in the fourth quarter wondering why I go through this every year. But
I always go back to 2020, that defensive battle that was like 13-7, and just thought, man, this is the time the Bears can finally do something, and then they put up 7 points on offense.
Or that game where Khalil Mack's first game as a Bear, he was just rolling.
That's the game I'm talking about.
Is that the same one?
Yeah.
And then Aaron Rodgers got hurt and wanted to be a show off.
And he
and
came back in the second half and
just
won the
destroyed
game.
my life like usual. Yeah.
Yep. Typical.
Anyways, let's not get negative.
We got a comment from Dan here in the chat. Things are getting better. That they are, Dan. I don't disagree with you, but wholeheartedly, I'm just ready to get through the next few weeks. I'm ready for the Bears to play Green Bay and actually at least be competitive. Even if they split the series with the Packers this year, if you split the division, right, that's 3 games, and we're going to win. If we're both saying we're going to win the next 3 games, that's 6 more wins. That gets us to 10 wins.
Right. Which should, with the teams on that schedule, that's why Washington's also a big thing. Right. That's why Washington's a big game too, because you have, I believe, the same record as them.
Yep.
But this will have a tiebreaker. Then you have to play Seattle later in the season, which I'm sure will have major implications on the playoff seeding as well.
That's what I was just going to allude to. So you look at the San Francisco 49ers right now, that team is decimated. Brock Purdy is reaching for his life. Deebo Samuel's down right now. Brandon Ayuk's down as well, I believe. I think there's fear that
he's on IR. I had to drop him from my fantasy football.
I was going to say there was fear that he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah,
and
he did.
Then Christian McCaffrey, obviously, with his dual acute tendonitis that he's been dealing with week over week. Although there's a chance they say he could be back by week 10. We'll see. I don't know
then how good is he going to be? He missed half the season at that point.
Right. I don't know. I think going back to that path, so if you split the series with your divisional opponents, win 3 games there, if you win, let's conservatively say 2 out of the next 3, split the series, that's 5. That gets you to 9 wins, and then you could very easily beat Seattle or San Francisco or both. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to beat those teams.
So I agree, especially if the Bears and Caleb play the way he played the last 2 weeks, right? That's the problem we always run into as Bears fans is the consistency in which the team plays from week to week. You know, they we're used to like, oh, Justin will have a really big game, and then the next 2 weeks it's just terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and
Major ebbs and flows
right.
as the season goes on. Yep.
The bad part about this schedule is you can't have that this back half of the year. This back half of the year is really make or break. And I know we discussed a lot before the season that this was supposed to be a Caleb Williams development year, right? Like that's the main thing we wanted to watch. But
we're kind of turning into
I'm kind of a selfish and I want it all. You know, like let Caleb play well and the Bears make the playoffs and the Bears beat the Packers, Vikings, destroy the Lions, and then they go on and win the Super Bowl. And like, I'm happy. You know, I don't, is that too much to ask?
Settle down. Settle down now.
Well,
I mean, realistically, if the Bears make the playoffs, that's a huge W on the season. With Caleb Williams as a rookie, if you make the playoffs, even I don't want to say it because I don't want to speak it into existence, but even if you were to lose in the first round, if you win 10 games and make the playoffs with Caleb Williams, that's absolutely a stellar improvement over where this team was last year.
Well,
the only piece you're really going to lose going into next season is probably Keenan Allen. I mean, everybody else is pretty much locked down or on rookie contracts across the board on this team. I mean, you lock down Montez Sweat, Cole Kmet's here for the long term, DJ Moore's here for the long term. You just drafted Roma Dunze. I mean,
so look what I happened to find. These are our predictions.
What do you got? All right.
These are the predictions from the beginning of the year. And why not go over where we thought we'd be at this point?
Okay, I'm down for that.
All right, so
give it to me straight, boss.
We both had them beating the Titans. I had them beating the Texans. You had them losing to the Texans. Okay, so we're kind of there. Yeah, we both had them beating the Colts. They lost that game. We both have them beating the Rams. We both had them beating the Panthers. We both had them losing to the Jaguars, which
in retrospect was a terrible call on our parts.
Yeah.
No,
so
it just speaks to how ass Trevor Lawrence is. That's all that comes down to.
You know, so right now I had them at 13-4. You had them at 12-5. You look like you played a little scared, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know. I got the next couple.
You predicted one more win than me.
The next couple weeks, you know, you play the Commanders. We both have that as a W. Then we play the Cardinals. Both of us have that as a loss. We have the Pats. That's a win. The Packers. That's a win. The Vikings. That's a win. The Lions on Thanksgiving. We both decided the Lions were going to ruin our day, and the Bears would lose that game. So that'll be fun to be annoyed. I'll punch a turkey that day.
You almost said baby there, didn't you?
I would never punch a baby. It depends how annoying it got. The 49ers, we have that as a loss. Then the Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers. We finished the season with a 4-game winning streak.
Wouldn't that be spectacular?
I mean, I'm looking at this and I don't see another loss the rest of the season, if you ask me.
Oh my God. Stop it.
The 49ers, they're a shell of themselves.
That they are.
Okay. And the Vikings,
here's the thing
Vikings
about
have come crashing back to earth with Sam Darnold. The Lions, the Bears always play the Lions well. And Jared Goff loves throwing interceptions to the Chicago Bears ever since he was in Los Angeles.
So let me go back and say this. I think a big part of what's going to be instrumental to the Bears' success this year is really how wide open the NFC is. Like, you look at the competition level in the NFC and the ability for, like, who's the best team in the NFC, Ace? Can you undoubtedly tell me that no. You know the answer to that?
No,
exactly.
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is obviously you ask any team, any fan of a team, right? If you ask the Packer fans, they're going to be like, well, the Packers are the best team in the NFC right now.
So, but let me stop you there. Who's the best team in the AFC?
Baltimore.
Who's the second best team in the AFC?
The Chiefs.
Who's the third best team in the AFC?
I probably would put the Bills there.
I'm going to say Cincinnati, but either way, it was much
Right.
easier for you to
Right.
do that exercise
Pick 3 than
with
10.
the AFC
Right,
than
right.
the NFC. Like, the NFC is wide open. And
Like, if I had to swallow my pride and unbiased look at this NFC, I would probably say the Lions are the best team.
that's better than what I thought you were going to say.
Would you think I was going to say the Packers?
suck.
Yes,
Shot.
I thought you were going to say
No
the
fucking
Packers.
shot. The Packers could be undefeated right now, and I still wouldn't give them the credit of being the best team in the NFC.
Fair enough.
I will never. Credit for the Packers is off air, and I don't even give them that much credit. I think
Fair
a little more
enough.
level-headed when I'm not in Bears mode.
Fair enough. But no, I mean, realistically, you look at the NFC. The point I was trying to make is it's really anybody's division, right? So if the season ended today, the Bears would have the number 7 seed in the playoffs based on their current record.
Yeah, and who would they play?
Washington.
So
Who would
Right
be
here.
number 2? So
right here,
But-
this could be a potential playoff showing. You know, you
Yeah.
go into a situation where we talked about it. Seattle's going to be there the whole year.
Yeah.
Washington's going to be there. The 49ers are going to be there. Like, these teams are going to be there, and you're playing them. And, you know, as much as, yes, the last 2 games, the Bears played subpar level teams. 2 of the worst
Right.
defenses in the NFL. The defense they're going against isn't much better, but the way they won against those 2 teams, right? It was decisive, convincing. They dictated policy in those games. Whereas
there was never any
usually-
doubt.
Right. Usually when the Bears play lesser teams, they find a way to continuously shoot themselves in the foot
Yeah.
and play way closer than they have to be. And
Matt
most of the
Eberflus
time
makes
lose
stupid
those.
calls or
Right. I mean, it's
challenges and-
easier to not make dumb calls when you're winning by 30 points,
right.
you know, because then a dumb call doesn't really look like a dumb call. When you're only
Right,
winning by
right.
10 and you make a dumb call, then it's magnified. So here's a simple solution. Just go out there and slaughter every team you play, and you don't got to worry about Matt Eberflus.
Oh, is that all you got to do?
I'm pretty sure it's as easy as that.
It's as easy as that, the man says. You are drinking the Bears Kool-Aid tonight, my friend, or some tequila or something.
No, you know what it is? I've never been so relaxed watching Bears games the last 2 weeks that, like, usually I'm for people that have watched, usually you guys see me over here wanting to, like, jump off a bridge watching this team.
Pull
Like,
your
I was
hair out,
I was
something.
watching the game with my dad, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like you're just, like, sitting back on the couch chilling. And I was like, "Dude, like, I don't know what to do right now."
Ain't no
Like,
worries right now,
right.
right?
Usually I'm
It's an unusual feeling for us Bears fans.
it's a complete
unfortunately.
day and night from the Texans game to last week's game. But
Yeah,
it's a kind of a
absolutely.
day and
And-
night in the way the team is played.
Yeah, but here's the thing, we go back looking at this very unbiasedly. There's no way that we thought the Bears were going to beat the Houston Texans, a playoff contention team last year in week
I mean, I
2.
had them winning, but whatever.
But you were drinking the Kool-Aid. You were doing that
All right, yeah, I guess I was drinking a
a
little
little
too much
bit.
Kool-Aid.
But I mean, after we saw that small selection of plays that Caleb Williams had in the preseason, people were hyped. It was like, oh, he just threw a 47-yard dart on the run to Roma Dunze. When have we ever seen a Bears quarterback do that?
Right.
The one thing I'm really enjoying as I've been doing film review this year and as I've been watching Caleb's tape in general more extensively than I have other quarterbacks in years prior is just his ability to read through his progressions correctly. Like, it's crazy to see a Bears quarterback go out there, look left, look right, go through his entire progressions, and then if nothing's there, he finds the check down.
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't look to run. Like, That's
right.
the best
He
part
will
of
run if he
yes,
has to, or
right,
if he sees man and the middle of the field's open for 20 yards, he's going to instinctively take it.
right.
But
But
he's not a
Justin
run
was
first
always
guy.
like, "Oh, my first option's chalked. I'm gonna go."
Right. Yeah.
We watched it in the first
I don't
week.
know who my second read is, so I'm just gonna take off and run.
Right. We watched it in the first week where I think it was the first week where he had the opportunity to run, but instead, it might have been the Colts game actually, where he had the opportunity to run, but instead he buys himself a little time, moves around the pocket, he's pointing guys where to go, and that's when he threw his first touchdown. Like Justin would have taken off, and all credit to Justin and what he did in Pittsburgh while he was starting. And I know that a lot of
he threw 5 touchdowns across 6 games and got benched for Russell Wilson.
Well, and that's what I was just gonna say. A lot of people were like, "Oh, well, look at where he's at." Like, yeah, I get it, but also like he hasn't put up a single performance that matches anything Caleb's has done this year, right?
Throughout his entire career,
right? Maybe the one game against the Steelers where everybody was like, "Oh, this is the breakout game. This is the breakout game." But that didn't. That again,
little did we know it was nowhere near the breakout game. So
right.
Here's the biggest thing for me. I don't want to dwell on the past. You know, we were both Justin Fields guys and supported him probably a little bit longer than we should have. Here as a network, I mean, it was a very torn and a little bit emotional subject when the Bears finally said they were going to move on from Justin. I was a believer that he deserved another year to put it all together. As soon as Caleb Williams saw the field, that was out the window. I mean, in the preseason, when you saw him, I'll go back to that touchdown that he made to Rome on the sideline. That was just magnificent. As soon as he threw that, I'm like, Justin Fields could never make that throw.
Mm-hmm. Well, so remember after the Super Bowl, I think it was you, me, Turtle were doing a show, and Turtle laid it out there almost perfectly. Like watching what Mahomes did in the Super Bowl, he carried that team to victory on his back.
Absolutely.
Period. And when he said Justin can't do that, it kind of was like, damn, you're right. I don't ever see Justin doing that. I could see Caleb
carrying that team. Yeah, yes. Absolutely.
And that's the difference. And just the confidence in which he plays the position. He doesn't just mope on the sidelines. He goes, talks with his wide receivers. He's talking with the OC. Like they're always constantly trying to figure out a way to fix a problem.
Better, yeah.
Right. If they go 3 and out, hey, what did we miss here? What could we have done better? And that's the sign of a good leader. And it's such a young age in the NFL for him to be taking that role.
That's what's amazing, pushing,
right? That is what you might have watched Justin do that every once in a while, but I never really felt like Justin was like in control.
Justin in year 3 was not changing play calls at the line. Caleb, since day 1, has had the ability to audible out of certain things and, you know, change the play from run to pass or vice versa based on the coverage that he's seeing. And maybe it's the difference in coaching a little bit with Shane Waldron. A lot of people were, excuse me, a lot of people were down on Shane Waldron early in the year because he wasn't scripting plays, which that's one thing I find really odd, that you thought you didn't need to game plan and script your first 15 plays for your rookie quarterback. Like,
I mean,
what are you doing?
Right. Like, it's kind of basic knowledge.
The veteran guys like Mercedes Lewis and DJ Moore, Caleb himself, all kind of spoke up and said, hey, this is what we need to do, and we want you to hold us more accountable. And I think since then, obviously Shane Waldron's taken that advice and has gone out and made it known that he's going to hold these players accountable. He's going to be a little more aggressive as a coach. He's not Dan Campbell, obviously, but nobody is.
I know, that's what I was going to say. I don't think anybody is Dan Campbell.
I'm going to bite your kneecaps off.
I'm not going to lie. When I watched that press conference of this dude talking about biting kneecaps, falling down, biting them again, and I was like, what a fucking tool. But honestly,
now you
watching them on Hard Knocks
at
was like,
the culture that he's brought to Detroit is crazy. But
I will give him credit. The Lions are much better.
you look at where the Chicago Bears are. Only 6 weeks in, Ace. We're 4-2. We have probably the best start that we've had in the last 6 years, since probably 18. I mean, we started the last 3 seasons off with losing records. I know that. So you're 4-2. You're going into a very winnable game on Sunday that we both feel really good about. And then you've got New England and Mitchell Trubisky 2.0 and Drake May.
Yep.
I'm kidding. I'm only
are you though?
I'm only
we
saying that because he's a
that.
Tar Heel.
Yeah, but we kind of talked about that before the season.
Yeah, I'm very glad the Bears didn't draft Drake May. Let me put it that way. You've got very winnable game there, and then you go and play the Arizona Cardinals and that 4'7" quarterback named Kyler. The defense should be able to stop them consistently, get up in his face, pick him up and throw him on the ground because he's 4'7", whatever. But it's a very winnable game for the Bears as well. And then we really get down to business. So I think Sunday's a test. It's a step in a different direction, right? Regardless of the last 6 games, you're kind of going from easy to moderate teams, let's say, the next 3 weeks, and then you get into the toughest test of the season for the remaining 7 games.
I think the Cardinals game is going to be the hardest game of the 3.
I would agree,
especially if Daniels doesn't play this week. Now,
so if Daniels does play this week, is that the toughest?
I would
game
think.
of the 3?
I would think he's probably the best quarterback of the 3.
Interesting.
With the way that they've played, the way that Kingsbury has kind of molded that offense specifically for Jaden Daniels, that offense.
And Scary Terry's a stud. Don't forget Terry McLaurin.
Right, that offense is playing so well right now.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that we need to see. I'm just going to go back and repeat. We need to see 3 wins. These next 3 games are all must wins if we want any chance of making the playoffs. If you go 1-3 in these next 3 games, it's going to be a very tough road to the playoffs.
Tarbill, if the Bears go 1-3 in these next 3 games, my whole entire holiday season will literally just be ruined.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I can't handle going 0-6 in the division. I can't.
No, I agree.
I don't know many Vikings fans. So losing to them doesn't fucking bother me because whatever. I live with Packer fans all over. So that is the worst. I know plenty of Lions fans that are just kind of a little annoying. People think Bears fans are annoying. No shot. Lions fans are obnoxious.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
And I think that these next 3 games, if you're the team that the narrative is turning towards, you win these 3 games. And I know that's crazy because that would put you on a 6-game winning streak coming from a coach that was
wild. That was on the chopping block. Yeah.
Yeah. For a 14-game losing streak. Oh God, that was a hard time.
So here's the biggest thing. 4 weeks from now, you play Minnesota in Chicago. I'm going to that game. So we'll have to do a live after show from the parking lot if I'm coherent enough to have a.
What if I just go with that game too? We could do a show right there in the parking lot.
Hey, if you want to meet me up there for the tailgate, and I'm totally down for it, brother. We'll figure it out. But I am gonna be having a very good time that game. I'll put it that way. Got my foot in the door with some nice seats and some amenities, so I'm gonna be living big that afternoon. But ultimately, 4 weeks from now, when that game happens, if the Bears can beat Minnesota in Chicago and stand up and undoubtedly say, well, in the week before against Green Bay, if you can undoubtedly go out there and beat Green Bay and not just win on a technicality, a last minute missed field goal. If you go out there and you beat Green Bay by 2 touchdowns,
honestly, I don't
that
care
shit right
if
there,
they.
bro.
I don't care if they accidentally trip and fall, or Jordan Love runs out the back of the end zone for the Bears. I don't care. I just want them to beat the Packers.
Oh, and we
That's
got
it.
a comment here from JPG, Mr.
I don't even know who
JPEG.
that is.
Won't ever beat Green Bay. Okay. I think that's hilarious.
Well,
Packers fans are so delusional. Like, Jordan Love is turning into Brett Favre, right? He's either making great throws
that's
or-
actually a fantastic
or he's getting
comparison.
picked off. Like,
right.
That's
Last
no
year
lie.
they're like, oh, he's playing really well, like Aaron Rodgers. Like, this year he's definitely looking more Favre, and I think the only reason they're okay with the mistakes is because of the inferior teams they played.
Mr. JPEG says he is him. Yeah,
Like,
Caleb
I
Williams
have
is
to,
him, buddy.
whoever this is, I have to know who this person is. There's got to be some connection because nobody trolls me harder than my Green Bay Packer people.
I know. I hope I'm feeding
but,
it. So ultimately, man, let's look specifically at this Commanders game, and we don't have our bare bones particularly ready, but we can go through our 3 keys to victory for the Bears to win this game. I'm gonna start this and kind of start it with the obvious one. I think the defense needs to hold Washington to 24 or less points.
Now, especially if Daniels doesn't play, I see that being a real possibility. If he does play, depending on what percentage he's at, might dictate that. I would be okay with the Bears having to be in a shootout to win.
Okay.
I think you have the offensive weaponry, especially against a defense that's as bad as Washington.
So you have the best wide receiver room in the NFL, I would argue, right now.
It's definitely
one of the best.
It's a conversation.
You have one of the best wide receiver rooms. DeAndre Swift has been an absolute beast the last few weeks.
Right.
Even though somebody on this network was ready to write him off, wanted to trade him for a hot dog and a bag of potato chips after 2
that's
weeks.
me, because he had 1.8 yards per carry after 3 weeks of football.
What's he had since then, though?
Okay, since then he must have watched the show, heard us talking a bunch of shit, and was like, "Oh,
that's what it was."
Ace and Tarbill, they are pissed. Let me get my act together." And look what happened.
Hey,
what can I say?
I'll take credit for that, right? Whatever. But no, DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson have both been performing well. I think Khalil Herbert gets traded in the next week, and that's not even a conversation of how we're using him. Can I stop right now and say that I was like a little kid on Christmas when I saw that the Ferret King was released by the Bears?
All right. I've been holding my tongue about Velus Jones all season.
I know you have. If
you watched Hard Knocks, dude was ass in Hard Knocks. He fumbled during the preseason.
He had a
first
lot of
opportunity
yards as a running back. He had a lot of yards
against
as a
fourth string guys. Cool.
Oh, okay, well, who's he going to get opportunities?
I don't
against in
care.
the preseason. It's not fucking starters.
Listen,
Linda.
The argument was, oh, we'll keep him on the team and see what he does. We watched what he did. He fucking muffed a punt and kicked it to the other team.
That was hard to watch.
Right.
That was hard to watch. I'm not.
Oh, well, we're going to make him a running back. Why? You have 3 competent running backs in your running back room. There is no need for Velus Jones. Oh, we're going to make him a wide receiver. Why? There are 3 competent wide receivers in your wide receiver room. He is like the 7th wide receiver. Right. He's like the 7th wide receiver on the depth chart. He's like the 4th or probably 5th option in the running back room. There was zero reason to keep him. None. You were offered.
Performed well in the preseason.
Okay, cool. We knew what Velus Jones was. We knew it. Oh, cool. He ran the ball well. Awesome. if that one dude in Hard Knocks doesn't get hurt,
Ian
no
Wheeler.
shot he makes the yeah, no
Ian
shot.
Ian Wheeler had like half the stats that Velas.
Yeah, but he also got hurt.
Okay.
And
And
then
he's still on the Bears. We'll see what he can do next.
and then you're
year.
offered a fucking draft pick for Velas Jones, one of the most useless players on your entire team, and you say no. Oh, I'm not going to take anything less than a fourth rounder. And then you
end up cutting
you get
him
absolutely
week 6,
nothing.
so you get nothing.
That's some
that is
shit I would
such
do.
a Bears move.
Right, that's some shit I would do. You get an opportunity, like, maybe not, and then it doesn't work anyways. You just fucking cut the guy.
Yeah, I don't get that, but Kari Blasingame was another victim of the cut today, although the Bears cut him like 7 times this season, so I'm sure he'll be back at some point. That's but more
Shane
about
Waldron's
roster management, I think.
Right, and his offense doesn't use the fullback. And what we've watched during the season so far is Kramer steps in.
Doug Kramer's the fullback, yeah.
Right, or Cole Kmet will play that role. So that's a
I don't want Cole
Kmet
in the backfield playing that role. I do like Doug Kramer back there running that jumbo set. I mean, every time he runs out onto the field that's what they're going to do is just use him as a lead blocker, but maybe
so I got a fun little question that I kind of wanted to talk about.
Do you?
We looked at that NFC playoff picture after 7 weeks, right?
Yep.
All 4 teams
after 6, 7, yes, for every team but the Bears.
After all 14, or if the playoffs started today, all 4 teams in the NFC North would make the playoffs.
Correct. Shows you how ass the rest of the NFC is.
Do you think that holds true? Do you think we see a scenario where all 4 teams in this?
No.
You don't? All right.
So,
what team misses it?
Yeah, I was going to say, let me elaborate a little bit. I think that the Packers make it, the Bears make it, and either Detroit or Minnesota does not. Like, it can be an interchangeable, in my opinion. And we've got JPG rolling in the chat. I'm not even going to acknowledge this clown. I'm about to boot him from the stream.
No. Keep him here. I don't care. Let him talk. I love people who hate on me.
So
and the Bears.
Yeah, especially when they've been wrong largely thus far this season. It's nice to have a little bit of swag to back up our Chicago Bears for once. But
every Green Bay Packer fan I ever meet, and I push this podcast, I always tell them, yo, just come on and talk shit to me. I don't care.
Right. Like Easy says, ain't no such thing as bad publicity.
That's right. None. Talk shit. Tell me I'm bad. I'm terrible.
They're burning RCDs. Shit. They can step on them, burn them, throw them out a car window. I don't care. They still
sit and watch and talk shit. I'm good with it.
That's what it's all about, bro. So ultimately, I think the Bears are still in. I think the Bears are in. I think the Packers probably are in. The other two, we'll see what happens. I think Sam Darnold is turning into the Sam Darnold of the past.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right, JPG, feel it. No hard feelings, my guy. You comment whatever you want. I'm just giving you a hard time,
if I had to pick one of the 4 teams not to, I think that the Vikings were riding a massive high in the beginning of the year with Sam Darnold, and you watch the last 2 weeks him come back down to earth.
He looks like Sam Darnold.
Right. There's still some good there, but I mean, the Rams defense ain't that, right?
So let's stop. Okay. Because the rumor is that Minnesota wants to trade for Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've seen from all indications. And
they had Kirk Cousins and they let him walk.
Do you think that Matthew Stafford makes the Vikings significantly better? Like at this point in his career,
I mean,
is Matthew Stafford the answer? You let Kirk Cousins walk because
I would rather have Kirk Cousins at this point in his career than Matthew Stafford. That's just me.
I don't
he's
get
more,
it. I mean,
he's more mobile, and he had an Achilles injury.
So
Matthew
Kirk
Stafford
Cousins got
back there and stands there. He's got nothing else to his game anymore.
So Kirk Cousins got what? $108 million guaranteed or something
Yeah.
like that from Atlanta.
Yep.
So you wouldn't pay your Kirk Cousins is a star, man. Honestly, the guy is
Kirk Cousins is a brand. He needs to just market the shit out of himself. Rock some gold chains.
rock them chains,
Yeah.
flexing on the bus. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. But no, Kirk Cousins, he put up 530 yards on Monday Night Football. Like, Kirk Cousins can get the job done for you, and you let him walk. And your answer was Sam Darnold, who's played for the Jets and couldn't make it work. He played for Carolina and couldn't make it work.
Technically, wasn't it McCarthy was their answer and he got hurt? But there was even talks about him.
Yeah,
him
they drafted JJ McCarthy, who's got a noodle arm and won't be able to throw the ball further than 30 yards accurately in the NFL. But that's neither here nor there.
Like, I don't know. If I'm Minnesota, do you call Pittsburgh and say,
hey, give me Fields?
I mean, they got a good running back. They got good wide receivers. They have an okay. So I know that one of their linemen is out now for the season.
So let me stop there and just say, if you go down that path, that rabbit hole, I would undoubtedly take Matthew Stafford over Justin Fields every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
If you're going to go out and make a move, make the move for Stafford. Like, if that's what you're going to do, if you think you need a different quarterback to take you over the edge to be a playoff contender, go out and get Matthew Stafford. Trade Sam Darnold back into a system that he's familiar with the coaching staff out there in LA. Give him one more shot to be not Sam Darnold. And, I'm sure it's frustrating for fans that have watched Sam Darnold throughout his career, because you look at the career trajectory of Baker Mayfield, who was pretty much going to be out of the league. And then he goes to Tampa. He finally gets in the right situation after all these years, all these different teams. And look at what Baker's been able to do out there in Tampa. I mean, other than last week when he got so stressed that he was popping a Zin in on the sidelines. But
yeah,
I think that Matthew Stafford, for me, I always remember his rookie year when he dislocated his shoulder and went back in to throw the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
And then came back, then ran to the sideline like, pop my shoulder in, it's out.
That was a pretty, I'm not going to lie.
That was pretty epic.
Yeah.
That was when they had Megatron, though.
Yeah, that was some, that took some balls.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, to get back to the topic at hand, no matter what happens in Minnesota with the quarterback position, I think if you add Cooper Kupp to that receiver room, that's a serious problem.
I don't know. I feel like Cooper Kupp is also a shell of himself. The dude's battled so many injuries the last few seasons. He's not playing with the explosiveness that he played with.
He's Julian Edelman now.
Pretty much, like,
basically
able to catch the ball, but he gets like no separation anymore.
Right.
And he doesn't have the ability to, when he catches the ball, like he was able to, where he could like make stuff happen after the catch. He can't do that anymore.
Right.
So you throw a
just catch the ball
and he just gets hit and he's down. Whereas before it'd be like, oh, here's a 4-yard slant. He can shake a guy off and go for 10 yards. He can't do that anymore. I think that the Vikings are in a weird spot because they weren't supposed to be this good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at all the pieces they traded away, right?
Right. And now you're sitting there as the Vikings and you're like, well, damn, like, we kind of have to compete now, or try to compete, even though
if we don't, we look like dumbasses because of where we're at.
Planning on competing this season because we played so well. Now we have to compete. So what can we do to make ourselves more competitive in an NFC North, especially, that is just...
The NFC North is the toughest division in football right now, and I don't think anyone would argue that.
I don't either. Now, if we're picking the 4 teams to miss the playoffs, or one of the 4, I think in terms of boom or bust,
Detroit.
No, I think Detroit's going to be a formidable foe for the rest of the season.
Okay.
I picked the Vikings to win that last game after Hutchinson got hurt because I thought maybe that would slow that defense down, and it didn't make a fucking difference.
Fair
And
enough.
if you look at my picks from last week, they were terrible.
They were dog shit.
I went on 2 weeks where I crushed it. And then
Yeah.
last week, not a single game did I pick right.
Who won last week?
Well, I mean,
That's right.
yeah, whatever. This week is the same. It's going to be a bunch of ass teams playing each other. Anyways, in terms of boom or bust, I truly think
if you
the
say
Bears,
the Bears, I'm going to reach
no.
through the camera.
I'm going to give a little bit of a breakdown of all four real quick.
Okay,
I think
go
the Bears
ahead.
make the playoffs simply because that defense is so good. The defense is a top 5 defense in the NFL. They are playing at a playoff caliber defense. You have a quarterback who doesn't make stupid mistakes, right?
That's a big thing.
He did in the beginning. He had a couple bad interceptions early on in the season.
But
what
rookie
you've
mistake,
watched-
he's learned from it.
Right. What you've watched over these last 4 games is his ability to protect the ball, accept his check down, not play hero ball, not look for the I got to win the game on this play.
That's the biggest
mentality.
thing.
Right. And he's a game manager. Cool. If you're managing wins, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Now,
no one ever complained when Alex Smith was taking the 49ers to the playoffs.
Right. And we were wishing that Mitch could have been Alex Smith. Like we wished that would be it. Now, you go to Minnesota.
Yep.
I think the defense is not good. I think they're going to be having to rely a lot on Sam Darnold to go play out of his mind. And I think that's what you've watched the last 2 weeks is that he can't do that at a consistent enough basis.
No.
I think that they have a nice cushion in the NFC as a whole.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
You look at and then you go to Detroit and you look at them and that defense is good even without Hutch, and then the rumors swirling about who they're going to try to get. I swear to God, if I see Max Crosby on the Detroit Lions, I will.
Max Crosby's not going anywhere. The Raiders GM came out and said that he's a non-tradable. He wouldn't take 5 first-round picks for him.
Well, then the Raiders are dumb, like usual. If somebody wants to give you 5 first-round picks,
it wasn't exactly that, but they said
I get
he's
it.
not tradable. But
there's still other
be on the table.
Yep. Garrett's out there. Zadarius Smith is out there. Like there's opportunity for them to improve what they have, and I think
I think the Bears need to do that. I think the Bears need to be a serious contender on Myles Garrett. Ace, if you go out there and get Myles Garrett, now you have the 2 best defensive ends in the league.
Yeah, I mean, and the middle of your defensive line has improved so much.
Yeah, Zach Pickens is healthy. Yeah. He's going to be back out there this
Billings
week.
is a beast.
Javon Dexter Sr. has been doing very
one thing
well.
Jared Goff has shown is he wins. He did it in Los Angeles.
Fuck Jared Goff.
I know it sucks, but he did it. Now let's get to the team I think's going to miss the playoffs, and JPG. Hold on to your seat here, my guy. Or girl.
Well, by process of elimination.
I think the Packers defense is suspect. The only really solid player right now is Alexander, and he could play okay. And then you turn to the offense.
All right, JPG's agreeing with you, Ace. Look at that. You've made.
I don't know if he's just being obnoxious, but their defense is not good. And then you go and you look at the offense, and they're so reliant on the boom or bust play. If you watch that game, who did the Packers
That's
play?
why it goes back to the Brett Favre analogy.
Right. Who did they play not this past game, but the game before that, where I watched Jordan Love just chuck the ball in between 4 defenders, and his guy came up with it. Cool. Oh, my God, what a great play. Not really.
Brett Favre.
Right. It's kind of a dumb play.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then there was a couple other plays in that game. The same thing happened. He throws it into double coverage and his guy comes up with it. Like, that's not a consistent formula of winning. You can't rely on those luck plays to win games consistently.
Yeah.
I think what's going to end up happening is what happened in the playoffs last year. You go up against a team that's at a higher quality than the teams you've played, that don't make those dumb mistakes often, that have good defenses. And when you take the ball away and their defense can't stop you, that's a problem. Like remember when Cutler, right? Cutler would just throw the ball, but we always had the defense that was like, that's cool, whatever, chuck the fucking ball. We don't care. We'll stop them. Green Bay doesn't have that defense. So you have to be little more secure with the football. And I don't know if Jordan Love has that. You watch Brett Favre, you watch Aaron Rodgers, you're going to want to mirror those guys in terms of the big game play. And I just don't think he's going to continuously get as lucky as he's gotten these last few games.
So
to have that be consistent.
So we've talked about it many, many times about how statistically it is impossible for the Green Bay Packers to have 3 back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think it's time for them to have an average quarterback in Jordan Love. He's not gonna win them games. He might not lose them games. He might lose a couple big games down the stretch, but
I think the best acquisitions the Packers made this offseason was getting Josh Jacobs. But I don't think they utilize him well enough because they're trying to showcase Jordan Love.
And it's like, what do you have to prove, dude? You have Josh Jacobs as your running back. Like, utilize that. Run the ball for 150 yards a game with Josh Jacobs. Fantasy managers will love you. Nobody will complain, I don't get it, man. But I think that's a good point for us to kind of start to wrap the night up, Ace, is just looking back at how tough this division is, kind of as a closing point. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the NFC North would currently be where they're at? I mean, it's crazy, is it not?
Well, I mean, if you go off of my list, I mean, I knew the Bears were going to be great this year. So we've been
podcasting together for almost 5 years, and you've said the Bears were going to be great every one of those years.
Yo, why you got to put me on blast like that for one?
I'm just saying, like,
eventually a blind squirrel finds its nut, right? Maybe I found it this year.
Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
I do think, though, nobody saw Minnesota being where they're at all. Everybody assumed Detroit was going to just run away with this division, which it probably will happen at some point. Games get harder. They mean more later in the season. The Packers, everybody just kind of assumed they were going to pick up and be good. Oh, that hurt to say.
Ouch.
And then the Bears, like, that was the biggest question mark, right? Can Caleb play up to the potential that he was brought in as? And so far, the last 4 games, he's played really well. If you look at his QBR, it's steadily increased. His turnovers have gone down. He's still a rookie, right? Like, I think that's what we all got to kind of remember and temper expectations to an extent. I think you're sitting in a position where you
some mistakes for sure.
Right. Clearly, records wise, you've put yourself in a position to be in the playoff conversation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we talked about it before the season. His development was the biggest need we wanted.
It's the most important. It still is the most important thing.
I said it before the season that I thought we found out more about the coach this year than we do about the quarterback this year. And I still think that the jury is out on that. If the Bears somehow
You're not sold on Eberflus yet?
No. You are?
Give Matt, put some respect on that man's name.
Why?
Look at what he's done in the last 10 games.
Okay. He runs the defense really well. Awesome. In an offensive league, your defensive-minded head coach in a system for 3 years has his defense playing at a top 5 level defense. Duh, you should be playing at a top 5 level defense. You've been in the same defense for 3 years, and
Okay,
he
but
was a good
he's
defensive
built a
coordinator.
culture. He has truly built a culture
Yes,
here
and I
that
agree.
the
I think
players
that the
buy into.
mindset of the player is good. My problem is he has poor timeout usage, poor challenge usage, poor time management usage, and all
But he's
3
got
of
a sick
those.
fade and a beard this year,
Yo,
so
cool, man. Sick fade and a
that's
beard.
all
Dope.
that matters, Ace.
Remember what we talked
I'm
about a
playing
little bit
devil's
earlier,
advocate here.
in the show where you were like, he's not making those big mistakes. Yeah, because they're winning by 30 points. But when you play
This
the
is true.
Packers, you're not going to win by 30 points. I mean, you might. I doubt it.
I
But if
sure
it's
as hell hope you do.
if you're going and there's 3.5 minutes left on the clock, right? And your coach decided to burn both of his challenges, and now you're sitting in a spot where, oh shit, did we get this first down or not? And you can't challenge, and you got a first down to extend a drive. That's gonna bite you in the
That's fair.
right.
I honestly,
I think
I'm not 100% sold on Eberflus either. I just knew that would fire you up. So
well, you nailed it.
hit
That's
the
what
nail
happens
on the
though
head here.
when we've been partners as long as we've been partners.
Absolutely, man. We've already hit the hour mark on this show, and it doesn't even feel like it.
I
but
know. I love it. I could talk Bears for hours. I mean, if you didn't have shit to do, I'll stay on here. I'll talk to people all night. My people love me.
Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
Whoa, Cutler. Why
all
don't you
right.
learn to drive drunk before you?
Yeah, I
jump
was
on
gonna
our
say
show,
it's a
bro?
little. How do you get a DUI in Nashville?
How are you a
first of all?
millionaire? Time out. How are you a millionaire and have to drive yourself home from a bar?
You couldn't afford an
There's
Uber.
no exactly.
Lyft,
There's no
like-
Uber. There's no Uber, Lyft. There's no fucking car service. He doesn't have a friend that he could be like,
Right.
"Hey man, I'm pretty loaded right now. I'll throw
Hey,
you
Hey,
$100."
this is Cuddy. I'm trashed.
Right.
I'll sign some pictures and give you $100 to give me a ride home.
Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
And not
Yes,
only that,
we are mocking
there had to have been one Bears fan in that bar that was like, Cuddy. Like,
Well, the
I'll
best
give-
part is
I'll
I
give
read
that guy
I read
ride
a
home.
report on the situation where he offered the dude like $2,000 not to call the cops.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw that.
Like, bro, you're Jay Cutler.
Step
2
that
Gs.
number up first of all.
Yeah, you say, "Hey, I'll buy you a new fucking car. Don't call the cops."
Right. I'll give at least start at $5,000.
Right, at
like,
least start at 5. Make it worth it.
and give
I
them
don't
10. Like,
I don't know. Silly guy.
there's no shot if a drunk Jay Cutler hit my car and he said, I'll
I
give
just
you
ask his ass for an
$5,000.
autograph. Like, bro, can you just sign anything? Can you sign my car? Please?
Sign where you hit the car.
Right.
Give me the $2,000. We're good. I'm out of here.
Packers suck.
I'll call the insurance in the morning and say
Yeah.
a tree hit my car. Like, shit. I did not just say I would commit insurance fraud live on YouTube. Joking, people, but no. Cutler, I hope you don't have to serve jail time. And with that, guys, I can't think of a better way to wrap up what has been a great evening with everybody. As always, guys, we do appreciate each and every one of you. Please be sure to go like, subscribe, and follow the Undefeated Sports Network on all major podcasting platforms. We're out there on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We have a dedicated Facebook group. Go join there so you see the announcements for when the shows go live. Hit that like button and give us a follow on YouTube. Help
Tell
the
me how bad my
algorithm there.
takes are. I could always improve.
And if you do that, you will know whenever we are scheduled to go live. You'll get a notification probably around the 30-minute mark before the show goes live. So you can be in and hanging out and waiting. And if you've seen the Bears press conferences, we promise we will be on the air faster than them. So with that being said, guys, have a good night, and we will see you again next week.